Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Kansas City Profiles presented by Easton Roofing. We have a very important story to tell, and we'll tell it through the voice and the eyes of Lee Gibson. He is the founder and president of Relentless Pursuit, Outreach, and Recovery. He is attacking the world of human trafficking. He will explain in detail what that is. You probably have some idea of it, and you might probably have maybe the wrong idea of what is going on in our community. And it involves, obviously, very young girls who are involved in prostitution, and their lives are very much in danger. This particular outreach and program has only really months in the making and already is having an impact. They have already purchased property to create Christine's Place in the Mike Daniels home. It'll be a safe, non-judgmental place for prostituted people from all backgrounds and races, providing the basic needs, hot meals, showers, hygiene supplies, ID, things like that. The crisis shelter, the Mike Daniels home, will be a safe haven for individuals recovering from trafficking situations by law enforcement, and they will assist in the stabilization to the point of transitional housing or long-term residential sharing. We'll get all the information for you, but I'll say this up front. The website is rpor.org, rpor.org, and you can go there, make contributions, decide to perhaps volunteer. But the information that you'll hear from Lee Gibson, who got involved just on his own, out of his own curiosity, and then eventually figured out how horrendous this problem was, and now he is involved with a great group of people who are trying to make a difference and are making a difference and only will be making more of a difference in the future. Our conversation up next with Lee Gibson from Relentless Pursuit, right here on Kansas City Profiles, presented by Easton Roofing.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing, and boy, we had to negotiate a million things in 2020, but Easton Roofing navigated them all. As 2021 rolls out, what should we expect this coming storm season?
Well, Danny, it'll be the same thing as it is every year. You know, the storms come, and you've got the guys out knocking on doors offering quote-unquote free inspections. Be wary as a homeowner. If somebody's knocking on your door, they probably need the work, and if they need the work that bad, they may be willing to do something untoward to get it. So if somebody knocks on your door, says they want to give you a free inspection, just tell them have a great day and give us a call. We'll come out for free and give you a good, honest opinion as to whether or not you need to do anything at all with your roof.
And what's the best way to get in touch with Easton Roofing?
You can always find us online at eastonroofing.com or give us a call at 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing, integrity matters. I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson & Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. It's time to visit once again with Dr. Brad Woodle of Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. And Dr. Brad, your group has reached a significant milestone in receiving a prestigious award.
Danny, we've been honored for the 10th year in a row to receive the 5-Star Service Award from Integrity Doctors. And what this means is that all of our offices throughout Kansas City have made sure to give people excellent chiropractic and acupuncture care, be on time, and do a very complete and thorough job, and have great responses back from patients.
I know firsthand because I was just treated, for instance, today by you. You have a wide range of fantastic services.
Absolutely. Chiropractic, acupuncture, physiotherapies, rehab, anything that you need to keep you well in bones, muscles, joints, and nerves.
And I can't say how much it's benefited me in the time I've coming here. Upwards of 2 years, my back has improved 100%. And you can have that same kind of treatment too. For more information and your chance for a healthier way of life, visit asfca.com/Danny today.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Lee, it's tremendous work that you're doing, and we're going to cover a lot of it today. But first of all, why don't we get to know you a little bit better? Give us, the listeners, some background on where you came from and what brought you to this point.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Danny. And I grew up around the Kansas City area, graduated from high school in Lee Summit, went straight to the military, served in 2nd Ranger Battalion up in Fort Lewis, Washington. Got out before 9/11 happened, and I dove a lot in the military, so I ended up going to be a commercial diver, went to dive school up in Seattle, Washington, then took a job in Morgan City, Louisiana, working on oil rigs. Did that for about a year and a half or so. And then when we had my first son, we decided to move back to the Kansas City area where I was from, and I ended up getting on the fire department, KCFD. So I was a fireman when 9/11 happened. So just like everybody else, I woke up that morning and saw what had happened and decided to go back into the military. Again, we thought those wars would probably only last a couple years. So on paper, I stayed a fireman, figuring I would just, go serve in the wars and then come back and roll right back into the fire department. Obviously, they continue to drag on. Got 24 deployments total overseas, Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa. When my second time in the military, as that time came up, ended up getting recruited by the government to do some work for the State Department and some other agencies, which then kept me in that deployment lifestyle all the way up until just recently. I ended up on a program, continued to deploy overseas, and ended up becoming a team leader and then an in-country coordinator. And now I'm actually the program manager. So I run a program that still has guys deploying overseas. And I split my time between Washington, D.C. and Kansas City. Just my family stays here in Kansas City. And, pre-COVID, I spent, every other week out in D.C. And, still running that program. And how we got to Relentless Pursuit was I was having a UFC fight party at my house. A lot of my cop and firefighter friends came over. One of my firefighter's buddy's wife had written a paper for seminary school about domestic minor sex trafficking in Kansas City, Missouri. She brought it over to have me check it out and tell her what I thought. And as I read it, I was just really taken aback, frustrated that I'd never heard of it. And, that's really what kind of started my journey down, figuring out where the gaps were, what was going on, what's everybody doing about this problem. It's kind of a wake-up call, right? I mean, I didn't know what was going on prior to that. Once it was brought to my attention, kind of did a lot of my own research, met a lot of awesome people during this journey that have educated me on it. And in August of 2019, decided to go ahead and start my own nonprofit to just kind of be that gap filler to support all the other nonprofits that are out there in the fight, law enforcement, social services. And that's pretty much what we've done.
People obviously hear the phrase human trafficking and they kind of have an idea generally what we're talking about here, but maybe give some more detail on what exactly goes on. People, I think, have just a surface knowledge of what this particular just awful occurrence is.
for sure. We spent a lot of time having that discussion because the general perception, or even the perception before I found myself on this journey, was a lot like what I believe a lot of people's are, which, is from Hollywood, from movies. The Taken scenario, the white van in the Target parking lot, abductions. Statistically, that does go on, but it's about 4 to 5%, according to Polaris, of a stranger abduction in a parking lot, the white van, or a lot of people believe that it's, people being smuggled across the border, which that does happen. The mail order brides and people being sent over here against their will. It's not that doesn't go on. What I feel like our bigger mission is to make sure people realize what it really looks like on the ground. It's, what a lot of people believe to just be street level prostitution. Most of those girls are being trafficked. They have a pimp that is forcing them to do things and then taking their money. So, and it's commercial sexual exploitation. And if people are taking their money, forcing them to do things, that's what it is. And I think a lot of people in law enforcement specifically is they're really turning a corner on that, where, historically prostitution was just a problem. They're girls on the corner down on Independence Avenue that business owners are tired of seeing. And so they call the cops on them, the cops arrest them. And it's just this horrible cycle where the shift has happened now, where they're being looked at initially as victims of trafficking until you figure out their story and get them the proper services to get them out of that. It also looks like, foster care system, these youth that are already vulnerable to exploitation just due to their situation, their family life or lack of a family life. They're just in the foster care system, in some form or fashion. Teenage girl in that, she's already vulnerable to predators exploiting her. You see a lot of it online. So yeah, that's what the trafficking, at least what I've learned, and what I feel like is what people need to be talking about is it's not like the movies. It's people right here in the city, street level prostitutes that are being trafficked. It's somebody that goes to high school with your kids. It's a family member. So yeah, that's.
So it sounds like what you're dealing with mostly is a problem that not only is here, but involves people from here. And I think just by the word trafficking, it does make it sound like it's a long distance type of thing.
So yeah, it's a super complex problem. There is that as well. So you have your girls that are trafficked through the major cities. They move to basically where there's events. We've heard multiple times, one of the biggest days for trafficking is the Super Bowl that we just had. Other ones are the Republican and Democrat National Convention. It's anytime you put men that have power and money in a location, the normal local prostitute population can't handle that influx of men that are out shopping for women. So girls get trafficked from other cities. So, if Chicago is having a big event, well, girls from Kansas City will be trafficked up there. It's the supply and demand problem, right? So if there's going to be a larger group of buyers, then they're going to traffic girls from other cities into those cities. So yeah, it's not just one thing, and it's not siloed as, just street level prostitution. You have all your online sex ads where people are buying girls online. And then you have your actual physical trafficking of going to meet the supply and demand problem.
Now, it's one thing to obviously become more aware of the problem. So this sounds like it has to be a concerted effort between law enforcement, creating homes, which we're going to get into in a little bit, creating another path for these people to think that it's a possibility that this is not the life that they will lead for a long time.
You're absolutely right, Danny. And that's what's really exciting right now is that's what's going on in the state of Missouri with the Attorney General's Human Trafficking Task Force. The director of that, her name is Allison Phillips. She's doing amazing work at doing exactly what you just explained, which has never been done at this level, where you're bringing law enforcement, social services, nonprofits, just bringing that whole group of people together and getting everybody on the right track to actually make a difference. Missouri State Highway Patrol, they have a human trafficking team that's run by Sergeant Dan Nash, and between him and Allison Phillips doing what they're doing, whether it's with the illicit massage businesses, which are the Asian massage parlors, that's come out publicly, the big effort that the Attorney General's office is doing that, because that's a whole nother face of trafficking. all the way down to the stings. It just came out publicly about the one in St. Joe this last Friday, and there was one done in Oak Grove last year. So, yeah, that concerted effort by all the players, everybody gets in their lane, does their part for it to really, wrap around these girls and figure out solutions for those girls. And then also, it can't be stated enough that the big fight is against the demand. There has to be a demand reduction effort.
Right.
We have to get men to quit buying women. So, for years, there's been different strategies, whether, again, back in the day when it was arrest prostitutes, get them off the street, then people can't buy them. I mean, all those are the wrong answer. You really just, you got to stop the buyers. You'll put the trappers out of business if you can just stop men from buying women.
Is that punitive, educational, a combination of the two?
I think it's a combination, man. And that's a tough one for me to process with my background in the military. And I did some time as a law enforcement officer in KCPD. My time as a firefighter. I've had a lot of jobs like that. So, but with this new journey that I'm on, I've absolutely found another place in my heart where I says some of these dudes could be educated out of it. Again, Allison Phillips talks about this a lot on the demand side, where if you take 100% of the guys that are buying women, they believe that 80% of those are, they're not committed buyers. They're not traffickers. They're not, guys that do it every day. It's the one-off, a guy at a bachelor party thinks it's funny and they try to order a girl online, or, whatever scenario your mind can imagine. But people that do it, at a party or something like that. Then you have your people that do it on a regular basis. Your high-frequency buyers is what they're called. So, these are guys that are buying them on a weekly basis, multiple times a week, and potentially are truly predators. To focus on those. So that's a lot of the efforts that we're doing with the Attorney General's task force is trying to clean out that white noise. The 80% of the guys that aren't dedicated, that's through this education and getting out there and saying, hey man, real men don't do this. Why are you doing this? And trying to have a conversation with that person. And that's what a couple of our efforts are, is just starting those conversations with groups of men and educating them on it. Say, man, if you knew what you were really doing, that's not, that girl doesn't want to be doing that. Her money is being taken from her and you shouldn't be doing that. I absolutely believe you can quiet some of the noise that way. And then the punitive side is going to have to be on the high frequency buyers, the guys that no matter what you say to them or what the threat of being arrested is, they're just going to continue to do it. And that's even goes into the other parts of the problem. Again, it's a super complex problem on every side. Is historically, the days of the prostitute being arrested, the John, man, you're looking at a $300 ticket that then he goes and gets a lawyer and gets it put down to a non-moving violation, so it's no more than a mere traffic ticket. He pays his $150, $200 fine, doesn't ever show up on his record. His wife doesn't know that he did it, and that's why he continues to do that. Because, again, the average buyer is a guy that makes over $100,000 a year, and he's married and has a job, and he has the disposable income to do it. And we even see that down on the avenue where we've started doing a lot of our operations. It's doctors, lawyers, teachers, guys that have money and they're driving from Kansas, they're driving from nice neighborhoods, and they're coming down there to have some experience on the avenue. So again, to answer your original question, it's got to be a combination. Again, the non-committed buyers, I think you can stop a lot of that with education and just some other efforts on the online sex ads. But then that helps to identify who the high-frequency buyers are so that law enforcement can truly focus on those and not playing a game of whack-a-mole, chasing every John around.
Some of the statistics here are just absolutely horrifying, and I think people have some idea of what it's like, but, the average age of these girls is 14 years old, and they're purchased an average of 5.4 times a day? Yeah.
And again, you can get stats like that, all different places. It's anywhere between 13 and 15. I think Polaris had put out 13.7. So that's why we've just said, hey, it's average 14, 5.4 times a day. Our board member, Christine McDonald, started being trafficked at 8. And that's the scary part when you throw the stat out about 14. If that's the average,
right? Well,
then, simple math. And that's Christine McDonald's story, right? She was sold by her mother at 8 years old for stable housing. By 15, she's in a strip club. And then by 20, she's on the streets on Independence Avenue for the next 17 years, being bought and sold every day. So yeah, it's absolutely the most horrific crime around, in my opinion.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with David Schmidt from Private Capital. And David, tell us more about your outstanding firm.
Thanks, Danny. Here at Private Capital, we focus on return on asset. In today's world, it is survival of the fittest. We look at things from all angles and try to figure out what works best for you. The changes we will see this next year on assets will be monumental. The key to success is knowledge. Know where you want to go, and we'll be here along the way. To find out more, give us a call at 816-221-7775.
David Schmidt from Private Capital with the best service for you.
Right now, it's more important than ever to support local businesses. And 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence is open and ready to take care of you. Make 23rd Street Brewery part of your KU game day experience, whether you watch the game there or grab curbside pickup for your tailgates or watch parties.
But not just game days. 23rd Street Brewery is great any day of the week, and when the weather's nice, you can take advantage of their heaters on the patio. 23rd Street Brewery is open daily from 11:30 to 9 for dine-in, carry-out, curbside pickup, and can even help with your catering needs.
So support local and visit a Lawrence favorite, 23rd Street Brewery.
Firsthand, I have enjoyed the benefits of the CBD products from Canaway. My back feels better and better these days, as a major part of my routine are the pain-relieving salve and the pure gold oil. And recently, I had the pleasure of a treatment session using the Canaway CBD in conjunction with the Microlight 830 cold laser. The non-invasive treatment session worked wonders, and I could barely tell I was even being touched. TML 830 is the first 3B cold laser to get FDA approval, and in addition, the combination treatment with CBD is patent pending. The new Smart Laser is the only hands-free cold laser in the world and is used by athletic trainers, chiropractors, MDs, physical therapists, and veterinarians everywhere. You can learn more about all the great benefits from the complete line of Canaway CBD products by contacting my friend Sherry McCants at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312 to get outstanding information about Canaway. Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from RecExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident from David Cowan. Visit RecExpert.com and learn more. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Lee Gibson is our guest. He is the founder and president of Relentless Pursuit, Outreach, and Recovery. So when you started this up, what was your initial thought of what you could accomplish? What are the goals now? What sort of is a day-to-day operation type of description of what you do?
Well, when we first started up, we still have no idea what we're really doing. But again, we wanted to be a nonprofit that was there to support other nonprofits or law enforcement. Just find those gaps and be the plug for that. So immediately, and then again, with my background, my assumption was that it was going to be really supporting law enforcement and building target packages, either on potential victims and the buyers and the traffickers. As an example, the FBI's Human Trafficking Task Force here for Missouri and Kansas, 6 members, 1 to 2 analysts at any given time that have the time and the resources to dedicate solely to this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. So 2 analysts for this whole area, that's a lot. So what we decided is let's initially just be a force multiplier for those analysts. Again, us we're a nonprofit, not a law enforcement entity. but we sure can do open source research and assist those analysts in collecting the information, putting the picture together so that they can put the picture together for law enforcement to go make an impact. And we did that really quickly. We met with them within, I think, 2 weeks of being an actual 501(c), and still continue to do that to this day. That's a part of what Relentless Pursuit does. Is again, that's part of our demand reduction strategy, is just to be a force multiplier for law enforcement in our lane of things that we can do as non-law enforcement people. So that's where we started. And just in multiple meetings with Missouri State Highway Patrol, FBI, Homeland Security, KCPD, just any law enforcement people that we could talk to figure out where we could help. A common theme kept coming up, and they were like, "Lee, we love this stuff. You're absolutely helping, but if you really want to help, we need you to build a place to take these girls, because that's our problem."
Right.
And again, that wasn't something I wanted to hear. It wasn't something I intended when I, ran and started a nonprofit thinking that we could get in this fight and help. But man, it became the common theme. And one of the first guys that said it, his name is Mike Daniels, worked at the FBI, violent crimes against children for years, an amazing dude who just recently passed. He was the first guy that sat across the table and explained it to me. He goes, "Lee, we'll do a 3-month investigation. We'll go hit a house at 2:00 in the morning. We'll arrest 5 guys, and we'll have 4 girls on the side of the street at 2:00 in the morning. And we're a bunch of FBI agents in tactical gear. We're not equipped, to deal with these girls that, not deal with these girls long term. They can take a couple agents that can sit and talk to the girl for a little while, but, they're typically going to have some mental health issues. They're going to have drug problems. They're going to be super emotional, confused, not knowing what to do." And he goes, we can't do that. We need to move on to the next thing. So he goes, "If you want to help, bring us a place that we can bring these girls to where they can get the proper services that they're going to need to get off the streets. Because if not, if you leave it to what law enforcement was working with at the time, was essentially we either have to arrest them or cut them loose." And he goes, "If we arrest them, they're not going to help us. It's not going to help them. And if we cut them loose, we know they're just going to go right back to what they're doing." And it's just a horrible cycle. So again, and then I heard that multiple times from multiple people that I trusted. So we started doing that as Relentless Pursuit. So that's kind of our main project right now, is Christine's Place. And we named it after Christine McDonald, who's on our board. We essentially, as a group, with her help, figuring out where this place needed to be, modeling ourselves after a couple other cities that were already doing this really successful. So again, I'm not a subject matter expert in any of this. I was a soldier, a cop, a firefighter, an MMA fighter, and a bull rider. Nowhere near an expert in any of this stuff. So again, you find you find the people that are, you learn from them, and do it that way. So we found one up in Seattle. It's Rest. They're kind of leading on this model where you go down into where these girls are at, and you build a drop-in center where you can start building a relationship with these girls. So that's what we did. We found a building on Independence Avenue. It's 6 addresses, 5100 to 5110 Independence Avenue. We bought the building. We're in renovation right now. We opened up a temporary drop-in center. It's about December 18th. It's about 800 square feet. And part of that was, we have a master plan of what we're going to do with the building to support this whole effort. But, you got to be responsible and say, let's open up a section and make sure the girls are actually going to come, make sure this is actually going to work. So I pushed the board hard to get open by December 18th. We did, barely. But we opened up those doors December 18th. We're immediately overwhelmed. Our first weekend, 6 girls came in, and we were like, all right, well, that's working. Second weekend, 21. Next weekend, 35.
Wow.
Just on and on to where this last weekend, 64 girls came in. So we opened up another 800 square foot section of the building that's connected, because we were immediately overwhelmed in an 800 square foot section where you could walk into there at any point, and there's 5 or 6 girls, 4 or 5 volunteers, just, nowhere to move around. So we opened up another 800 square foot section. So we're sitting at 1,600 square feet right now, but we have an average of about 20 girls a day passing through there. Some stay for an hour, some stay all day. And what our goal for that is get them some fresh clothes, get them a hot meal, let them take a shower. let them hang out, watch TV, just have a safe place to get off their feet for a minute and not worry about somebody coming up and trying to buy sex from them or beat them up or anything like that. And really planting those seeds. So whether it's 6 days from now or 6 months or 6 years from now, whenever she's ready to get out of that life and make some tough decisions, she'll come back to us, and then we'll be able to get her on the right track.
What is there obviously it takes fundraising and things like this, and that's no doubt an area that you obviously have to pursue. And is there an eventual goal for Christine's place in the Mike Daniels home? Is there a thought of minor residences or a job program, or what are some of the long-term goals you think are out there?
Yeah. So this is the super exciting part to me, man. I get fired up about this part. That's what we want to do with the whole building. So we eventually want to get Christine's place to be the first 2 big buildings. So we'd be just over 3,000 square foot for the drop-in center. And then the 3 apartments above would be the Mike Daniels home. And that would be the crisis and stabilization shelter, where the girls that are recovered from these law enforcement stings or girls that are ready for that step, we would put up there. And then the rest of the building, which would leave 4 more addresses on the bottom, the 3 of them being the 1-story buildings, is then putting in, and it's evolved, but right now we have as a thrift store, an apparel shop where we can actually make T-shirts, and then a yoga studio and a coffee shop. And so the rest of that building would be that we would just own, and then get the girls their first job there, and then eventually let them manage it and start to build their resume. Because to be honest, what we found out in our short time is that the biggest thing that's keeping a lot of these girls in this cycle is an ID. They don't have their ID. The girls come in there every day. Hey, my guy burned my birth certificate and tore up my social security card. I can't get an ID. So we're working on that to streamline that process, to say, man, every girl that walks through that door, if she wants an ID, we want to be able to get her an ID, because it's something as simple as that is stopping this girl. And then the next step is, now I need to get a job and a place to stay. So we believe that we can take that building over time and turn it into that solution for all of that. We're planting seeds in the drop-in center to build a relationship with these girls, so that when they're ready, we have things in place to either get them into a long-term program, get them into rehab, then get them into our crisis shelter, get them for 90 days. Some of those girls, after the 90 days, we should be able to get them going. Because if it's just an ID and just a job and some transitional housing, we can solve those kinds of problems in 90 days. The girls that have problems that we can't solve in 90 days, bigger mental health issues or more complex trauma, well, we have partners with long-term shelters that we can get them into long-term programs. So yeah, that's kind of the big vision for it, is that block right there on Independence Avenue, where a lot of this evil is going on. Is, I say it a lot, is we decided to go to the gates of hell and fight this evil. Now, I mentioned money before. Perhaps you could talk about how people who are hearing this podcast and will see the social media involved with it as well can reach out and contribute or help or volunteer time. Go through that for us. Yeah, so we've tried to make that easy because, like you stated, man, this is all about funding, and we've gotten this far with essentially just private funding. Some of it just small scale, like we have an 18 campaign on our website where you can sign up to donate $18 a month for a year or 3 years or however long you want until you want to cancel it. So $18 a month helps a lot. You can do one-time donations through the website. You can, mail checks to the address that's on the website. So in all those ways, and then we go do speaking events. A lot of the churches have helped us. The Rock Kansas City Church has been amazing. Pastor Philip O'Reilly. I mean, that church has done more than any other church in this city to actually boots on the ground with volunteers and financial support whenever we need it. So the Rock Kansas City Church has been amazing. Other churches are helping at different levels. We get, West Side Family Church has helped. Pleasant Valley Baptist Church has helped. So we're always reaching out to churches from a fundraising perspective. And then just all of, our board has a lot of solid people on it, them reaching out into their circles and just getting the word of mouth out of what we're trying to do. And we invite people to come down and see what we're doing. Because I believe that if you see what we're doing for you in an hour, you're going to want to get in there and help. A lot where I was 2 years ago, like I didn't know this was a problem, so I was just going on about my life. The second I said, man, that's really a problem, and then the more and more I see about it, it's like, man, the more and more I'm going to have to go all in to help this. But up to this point, like I said, a lot of it's been private funding. We've had some very generous, just citizens just really go in big for us and help us out. And then we have a partnership with the E3 Foundation, Adam LaRoche. So
right.
I've been friends with Adam for a couple years, and we actually ended up meeting over all this counter human trafficking thing. So he does, the hunts for veterans, and one of my close
right.
friends that I work with ended up on one of his hunts because there was a last minute opening. My friend obviously knew what I was doing with Relentless Pursuit. He ends up talking to Adam about it. Long story short, me and Adam end up meeting, and we're fast friends, and especially on this topic. So E3 has stepped up tremendously to help us, and Adam LaRoche and his family on a personal level. I mean, they've come up and helped us, tear out walls and take out the trash. And, Adam's even worked a shift at the shelter with me. And so, yeah, I can't say enough about Adam, his family, the E3 Foundation. So, yeah, it's another big spot that we're getting assistance with getting this project pushed through. Adam and his family are passionate about it. So, and then on top of that, I mean, we're such a new nonprofit. We're starting to apply for the bigger grants,
right.
the federal grants, the state grants. So there is that kind of money out there. A lot of it, you have to be a 2-year-old nonprofit with an address in the city, which we're getting there now. But so, yeah, we've not gotten any of that, but I do believe that's our next phase is to start getting some federal grants, some state and city level money dumped into this. And I think a lot of that is once you can see the success that we're doing. Again, the numbers are crazy. We've only been open right now, we're only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 9 to 5, because we're an all volunteer thing right now. Nobody's getting paid to do this. We all have jobs. But we've come a long way. We just bought the building in October. Opened the door from the one, renovated one of the sections, got it open December 18th. And I was roughly going over the numbers, but right now only open 3 days a week. So we've only really had 24 days of operation. And we've already seen 87 different girls come through for 321 visits. Which just exceeded all of our expectations in a positive and a negative way. I mean, a lot of the people we were going to coalition meetings with were like, hey, man, street level prostitution's dead. It's gone. I mean, it's all online now. And we disagreed, and now we've done this, and we're like, well, we have the stats to prove you wrong. There's 87 different girls that have come in for 321 visits that prove you wrong. And again, in 24 days, and only in a small section. As we continue to expand, and the goal is to be open every day.
Right.
7 days a week, and then have that 24-hour crisis shelter open. I mean, the numbers are staggering, and that's just in Independence Avenue. And you think a lot of that, that's the girls that can walk there. We may not even be reaching the girl that lives on the other end of the avenue, past Troost, or deeper into the city. So we're getting a sample size of just the numbers of girls we're getting, and the majority of them are walking.
Right.
Obviously, some get rides, but and inside those numbers, we've had up to date 15 shelter referrals. So again, our long-term or even our crisis shelter is not open yet. We're renovating it, but there is some other great organizations in the city. We've referred a handful of girls to Hope City, Shelter KC. So yeah, we've had 15 shelter referrals. We've put 5 other referrals, so either gotten them into rehab or into some mental health referral. We have a really awesome deal with a local hotel that gives us and some of the domestic violence shelters and some other nonprofits gives them special rates on rooms. So we've had over 20 nights in hotel rooms that we've put girls up in while we're trying to get them into other shelters. And just sometimes it's just simple as we've done 6 Uber and Lyft rides in support of these sting operations that we go support law enforcement at. So yeah, man, it's been a crazy year for sure, and I honestly believe we're just scratching the surface.
It certainly sounds like it. What is the website title?
It's rpor.org.
rpor.org. Yep.
Yep, and that's for Relentless Pursuit, Outreach, and Recovery. That's our official name. Everybody shortens it up to Relentless Pursuit, and there's links to all of our social media from there. Facebook, Instagram. It's some combination of RPOR. Yeah.
Okay, rpor.org if you want to help out or contribute or help out in any way, learn some more information about that particular thing. Obviously, this is really at the outset, and you're really doing incredible things literally within months. It's not the right word perhaps to use, but you must be very excited about the prospects of being able to help out these incredibly at-risk girls.
Yeah, it's super exciting. It's man, it tears me up a little bit, man. It's super exciting to see it happen, but then you're saddened by just the sheer volume of it. And then when you're sitting there on a shift working for 8 hours with these girls and just listening to the stories and the things that they're going through on a daily basis, man. And I mean, again, this isn't in a movie and it's not in a book. It's sad, man. I mean, tears are shed inside that building every day. Sometimes they're happy tears, and sometimes, these girls come in and just have a horrendous story of what happened to them the night before. But man, it is exciting to just say, hey man, we're on the front lines. We're not just sitting around talking about it. We're not just quoting the statistics, because, our first year as a nonprofit, again, with my background, that was the frustrating part for me, man. I have no experience in the nonprofit world, but I was like, man, I'm getting in this fight because I feel like I can help. And it was just coalition meeting after coalition meeting after a church meeting after, you name it. And it was just, I felt like everybody was just sitting around talking about the problem and caught in their own cycle. Where finally I was like, we just got to do something, right or wrong, just plant a flag and do something, and then just make adjustments until you figure it out. So I feel like that's what we did, man. Almost out of a certain amount of frustration, I was like, man, I can't keep talking about it. I can't keep quoting the statistics and learning more about it. It's time to we know it's a problem. I don't need to know the exact number of girls out there. I don't need to know the exact age that they're getting brought into this. I don't need to know all the exact stuff. I don't need to do another study for academic purposes. Man, we need to get out on the street. We need to talk to these girls. We need to figure out what we can do to help them. And again, we're finding really quickly, it's get them an ID. I truly believe that that's going to be one of the biggest impacts we can bring her this weekend. I mean, found a website where we ordered a girl who's from New York. We ordered her a birth certificate for $68, and I mean, she was in tears. She couldn't believe it. It's like $68, and we'll have it mailed to this building. Once it shows up, we'll walk you through the rest of the process. We will have you a state ID soon. So, yeah, exciting but sad at the same time, man.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.